Hello, welcome to the One Game at a Time WNPL season preview. Again, joined by my three regular co-hosts, Marc, Alessio, David. Hello again. Welcome back.
Long time no see.
Long time no see.
How have you been?
I've been well. Have you done much since the last season preview?
I did go for a wee.
You did. You did. Yeah, you did. Going through the WNPL for this season, a very, very interesting competition. Seeing how it will go. Just looking at some of these teams, we'll look at some key points. I suppose the first one, for a club at least, is looking at Adelaide Comets. A new coach and a vast array of changes, David.
Yeah, a lot of players coming in. As we look at that list, there's about 8 players coming in. A few have left, obviously, but as I glance at that list of the players that have left, a couple of them look like they weren't maybe first-team regulars anyway. But yeah, big changes at Comets, and they'll have ambition with Joe Porter at the helm to try and win this year.
Alessio, he's brought over 3 Flinders players as well.
Yeah,
in Willoughby, Denton, and Molino.
Yep, new stadium as well for them, playing out of that home ground as well. Hopefully some double headers for us to watch there as well. But yeah, some great ins, a great coach, and Comets, they've not had silver for a long time in the women's game at least. So I think this year might be a big year for them to try and play some deep finals runs.
Marc, I guess sort of final bit Adelaide Comets, just sort of not asking you where they'll finish, but how do you think?
With Comets, I think it's a third or fourth new coach in 3 or 4 years. So it's a lot of changeover. They had Dan Milanovic there last year. I think they had Tom Montigno the year before. So they've had a lot of change recently. So I think hopefully for them, they'll be able to. Joel will come in. We know he was at Flinders for a long time. Hopefully he brings some stability and he's able to sit around in that head role for a couple of years and really build something. Not that he has to completely rebuild, but just get them over that final hurdle.
Next one to sort of go on to Campbelltown City. A team who hasn't lost a competitive league game in about God knows how many days. I can't even count the list, but they've brought in basically a whole nother starting 11.
Potentially if all 11 start.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They've got players coming in left, right and centre. We don't have a list of the outs because we're not sure who they might have been. But obviously, finished top of the ladder last year, didn't lose a game, outstanding last year. So it'll be interesting to see how they go this year in the top flight. I would anticipate they'll stay up, but we'll get to our predictions a bit later, I suppose.
Just mark a few of those signings as well. A few of them fringe players for the high WNPL teams. Joe Trimboli moving over from Adelaide Uni is probably a good experience signing for them as well.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that they probably needed to do was just add depth. We saw them last year, obviously, they blitzed the league undefeated. But I think the fact is you go into the WNPL, you need to have depth. If someone does miss out, you need to bring someone in that can do a job at that level. And like you look at the likes of, they've also brought in Karatevli, who was, I think, at Comets. So players like that they have brought in, I think they've brought in 10 players, but it just shows you that they needed to add that depth.
Absolutely. Flinders United. Again, new coach. I've had quite a few players leave, but one very big in Cote Rojas, not finally coming back, but coming back to Adelaide again now, Alessio.
Yeah, it's a big in for them. I mean, she was the whole reason they stayed up in the past as well. One of the reasons, her and Anastasia Willoughby having a fantastic season as captain, but her by herself now, Cote, maybe it's going to be a bit of a harder task for her to get that team to stay up again and possibly get into the high echelons of the league as well. They were floating around some finals last year, Flinders. So it'll be interesting to see if they can do that. But only other possible in was Leslie Quegnier, who we had on the podcast and I think in the commentary booth as well.
Yeah, she did commentary with me. Yep.
So that's a big in for them as well, experienced signing. And so that's 2 experienced players in their team potentially this year. So I think they're going to find it difficult, I think, to stay up, especially with all the players coming in and around the league, getting chances elsewhere. We're talking about Campbelltown. They also have some players who were either fringe or they were in lower clubs, or even someone like Summer Doman, who played in Mobi Vista, didn't get promoted the last couple of years. Elizabeth Kafari was at Fulham United. They got relegated. So there's some players looking for big chances in and around the league, and I think you'll see Flinders probably pick up some of those players too.
Absolutely. Adelaide City. again, another new coach in the WNPL, but probably two big signings in Jess Nariello and Florence Russell up front, who's moved on from Sturt, a very good striking option. Whether or not Chelsea Dorber comes back as well, that's still a very good option for City to have in Florence Russell.
Yeah, absolutely. Florence Russell, we saw a few times last year at Sturt, and she was outstanding. And going to Adelaide City, that's a big move for her, isn't it?
We're going back to Adelaide City, actually.
Oh,
as
right,
well.
yeah. Yeah, fair point. But yeah, be interesting to see how they go there. I think Florence Russell will do well, providing she gets the supply from midfield, because that's what a striker relies on, isn't it? But yeah, some big signings coming in there, and they'll be looking to build. They were 7th last year, so they'll be looking to finish a lot higher than there. They missed out in finals last year. Didn't they?
Let's hear Mark more on City.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis Van Long was actually a former coach of mine. He was a coach when I was at Adelaide Croatia Raiders, the under-18s. He's a good coach, and he's a very vocal coach. I know that as well. He was at Adelaide City men's in the reserves and 18s the last couple of years as well. Jessica Signorella is also a previous City player, so she's coming back as well. And I think Vicky Juma, I think she was at Modbury Jets, if I'm correct. That's another attacking weapon for them. But for an Adelaide City team, I think Michaela Vidmar might come back from her ACL injury as well. So this is probably a season of redemption for them after being such a powerhouse in the women's game for the last couple of years.
Well, they lost the possibility of finals actually on the last night against Burkalla. All they needed was a win, and they managed to draw against them. And as you said, a regular powerhouse just being usurped by Burkalla at the last minute. Mark, anything else really on Adelaide City?
No, nothing else from me on Adelaide City. I just think a new coach, again, they've just got to hope he settles in quickly and gets them playing the way he wants them to play, but they'll be out for redemption this year.
Metro United. Paul Morris still in charge. Looking at team sheet, Siobhan Eastham and Alicia Carras coming in both from uni. I've had good word. Apparently they're looking quite good so far in this pre-season. But how do we think they will go roughly? David, your name's not Mark, it's David.
No, it's still David. It's been David for 55 years, and it's probably not going to change over the next 30 years or so that I have left.
Could do.
Look, I think Metro United it's probably going to be much of the same for them this year. Sorry if they're listening. I would anticipate they'll make finals, but they probably won't. Mid-table mediocrity. Please don't take offence at that. They're not going to go down. They're strong enough to stay up. They're competitive in this league. I think they'll make finals, but I don't think they'll win the competition. So same as last year, I think, for them. Not a lot of players coming in or out either, I noticed. So same as last year.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, if you have a team that stays together for so long that not many people want to go or come in, then maybe that bond in that team has got quite a way to go, and they can have a successful year with it. But I would agree similarly. I think they're going to be mid-table. I mean, not mediocrity if you can make finals. Some people never make finals.
True.
But otherwise, I think that they'll be in and around those positions they have been in the last couple of years.
Mark?
Nothing more. I'm in agreement. I think they'll be there mid-table. They'll get their results. They won't be anywhere near I don't think they'll be near the relegation. But I'm also not sure they'll make finals. But they'll be there or thereabouts.
Just remind me, finals is top 6?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Hello, everybody. It is Seb from the future. As you can see, the video has been paused because, as you would have just heard, I made a grave mistake. It's only 5 teams in finals, which I do know, and I don't know why I said 6. So when we talk about top 6 for finals, I sincerely apologise, and I hope we can move on from this steadily. On with the show.
Yep, they'll make finals.
Salisbury into next. Carl Maynard still in charge. Very, very pleased. A very good man, a very good coach, but also a bit of an enigma, I think, as a team, because they tend to sort of be there and thereabouts, and then towards the end, all of a sudden, turn into the best team in the league towards the end. So, what do we think from them?
I think, again, look, it's hard to go against what we saw last year or argue against what we saw last year. I think it'll be much of the same. I think I've got them finishing in finals again this year. But doing well in finals because they seem to do well when it counts. Carl seems a lovely guy, doesn't he?
I've got a lot of time for Carl.
Yeah, so I certainly wish him all the best, and I think it'll be the same as last year. I think they'll make finals, and I think there'll be a little flourish of life as they get towards those final few games, and maybe win it again. Who knows?
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, Salisbury Inter, they're a team that have always been in the last couple of years. They've always had success. Their team as well has got so many key figures that have been part of the success over the last couple of years. But losing players like Jessica Signorella, who's been part of their championship teams as well, and Nicole Calder, who has retired and transitioned to coaching as well. Obviously, Isabella Kamitsis as well looks like is an out as well. So I think they're going to drop off a little bit from last year, and probably, unless we see some players come out of the woodworks that we don't know too much about, I think they might drop off a little bit from last year, in my opinion.
Mark, just a point, Kyle Maynard, double duty this year for him as well, also at Croatia Raiders at the same time. How do you think that will go for him?
Oh, look, he's good enough to know what he's doing. I don't think it's going to be a major issue for him at all. I wouldn't be surprised if he's done a dual role previously at other clubs, so I don't think that will distract him from either of his roles. And I just think that they'll do well this year. We expect them to do well, but as David said, they will peak during finals. They always do. So I'm expecting them to start a bit slowly, and then come finals time, they'll hit the high road and away they go.
West Adelaide. Again, Costa Jaric in charge. Again, another very, very, very good man. Very, very good coach. A few wins. Nidi Amada, probably the pick of the bunch out of those. Probably one that almost every club probably would have wanted, knowing that Sturt were going down. I guess you saw a lot of Sturt last year, particularly.
Yep.
West Adelaide having Nidi Amada, how much of a big signing do you think that is, considering probably every club in the competition wanted to have her?
Yeah, she was outstanding last year. As you said, did you say, I can't remember, that I did go to a few Sturt games last year? You did say that?
Yes.
Yeah, I went to a few Sturt games last year, and she was outstanding. They've picked up Hayley Wellington, Madeline Wright, and Emma Ryan as well. So they've got a few players coming in, and another nice guy, Costa Jaric. We've got so many nice people coaching.
We do. That's the joys of the local football.
Oh, what a pleasant chap he is as well. So I think West Adelaide will be up there. I've got them down. We're not doing our table positions
Not yet.
but I do have them very high up on the table, and certainly to make finals. They would be very disappointed with last year, wouldn't they? They were a very good side last year, then got into the final, and then of course the way the system works here, you can be the best team all year, and then you lose one game at the end, and you don't have the title. So let's see if they can go one better than they did last year.
It was interesting as well, because I think they played against Inter maybe second last week of the season, or I can't remember which one it was, and beat them 5-0, 6-0 or something.
That's right.
And a couple of weeks later, losing the grand final like that was quite remarkable. Alessio, on West Adelaide, anything else?
No, I mean, some of those ins as well. Madeline Wright, I think, if my memory serves me correctly, she was also at United Women's in the past. I think she made an appearance on the bench or on the team sheet for the United Women's W League team. But otherwise, yeah, ins like that and not many outs is another typical characteristic of a team that is just so successful. Everyone wants to be in there. They've got players that will come back from the W League team as well. And I think they're just going to be they're always such a strong team, and I think they're going to continue that success in 2025.
At Kilburn as well, have you been to Kilburn yet, Mark?
In the very early stages, before it was allowed to be used, yes. I haven't been there since it's actually opened yet. So I might try and get out there this season, maybe. I might get out there in a Kilburn, though. So it'll be about another 9 years before I get there. So we'll see how we go.
I suppose just playing there in general, it is a great place from first-hand experience. I think it does help. Like, same for their men's team as well.
Yeah, definitely. The fact that they've got their own home. That's the biggest thing. Is any club, you talk to any player, they want to play at their home. They want to play at their home stadium. It's very difficult to play at another club's ground when it's not your home. It's so difficult.
Feels like an away game every week.
It does. It certainly does. I did that at Olympic many years ago, and we played we ground share with Port Lion at the Pirates at the time, and it is difficult because it never feels like your home. So the fact that they've now got a home, I actually think they'll just go strength to strength, and it's going to be another season for them, I think. Yeah,
a full season there at Kilburn. They don't play the whole season there either.
I think it'll only aid what they're doing there, and they are the force in the women's game at the moment.
I suppose just on that, before we move on to our last team, Burkella, a few teams actually playing at new home grounds. Metro, I think, will be playing at TK Shutter quite a lot more. Inter possibly could be playing at their home ground. I'm not entirely sure about that. Who's on? Flinders will be playing at their own home ground, which is another one, and then Comets as well playing.
Does that mean they're doing away with like the Friday night at Service FM, or what's the plan there?
I think the teams that will still play there would be NTC, Inter, and Uni, I reckon. So I reckon if there are Friday night games, it's probably them hosting out of all of them. But again, it's probably the first time in a while where a lot of the teams in the WNPL actually have a home ground, I think, because a lot of them have just been playing out of either, whether it was the Parks
Yeah,
or Jeps Cross. And I think it's a good thing that these teams finally actually have
Oh, yeah,
have a home
definitely.
ground as well.
definitely.
What's next? Relegation candidates, of course.
Well,
Only.
should we cover Football SA? And
Oh, he did. Oh, it's my bad.
Colour as well.
Bacala, I forgot.
Yep.
We'll do Bacala next. Again, a team who sort of surprised us last year, again, just sneaking in the finals in the last day of the season. Also had Izzy Hodgson and Dylan Holmes as well during that second half of the season when they were off United duty. You watched Bacala as well. You did a few Bacala games. You did the one with Johnny as well.
Yeah, I did a couple of Barcala games, and Dylan Holmes was playing in those games, but I don't think Izzy was. I'm not sure. I can't recall. But they looked good at the time. So, are you asking me? What's the question? Just the predictions?
Just how do
a general
you
chat?
think? Yeah.
Okay. I think they'll do okay again. I think they'll be a bit like Metro. I think they'll probably end up in a mid-table position. They certainly had the benefit of having Dylan Holmes and Izzy and Hodgson on their side, but they're not there all the time, are they? Because they're bound by other obligations. So with them, they certainly looked very good. Without them, maybe not so good, and maybe that's what contributed to a mid-table finish. Can't remember if I've got them to finish in finals, but
We'll see.
mid-table. Mid-table's where I have them just now.
Alessio?
Yeah, I mean, it's another team with obviously players that have been there such a long time, a coach that's been such a storied figure with West Torrens Bacala. I think they're going to have a similar season as well. They haven't had as many new players and big signings like the men's team has. So, unfortunately, maybe that's going to lead them to have a very similar season to this year compared to pushing on maybe.
Mark?
Yeah, I echo the boys there. To be honest, I think it's going to be pretty much the same. I'm not sure whether they'll make finals, but they'll be there or thereabouts.
I guess the two significant ins for them are Inanna Tuvey and Lena Vogelsang.
Probably
Vogelsang from Uni and Tuvey from Sturt.
Yeah. So again, two players from two teams that probably weren't the best in the league, but now I guess they now have that platform to perform at a higher level with a better caliber of player.
Yeah.
Let's say. Just finally, NTC. A hard team to predict, same as the United Youth team. You don't really know what you're going to get. You have a few players that you know. Stella Viksrek will probably score. She played in goal last year. She can pretty much go anywhere on the pitch. They've had a few outs, obviously, as that's how the program goes. When you get to that certain age, you have those players leave. I suppose this is more a conversation about youth development, to be honest. But how do you think they will go this year? Mark, we'll start with you.
Again, I think they're going to. I mean, they did well. They've been doing well the last few years. And I think they're going to continue that. They're bringing in some good players. Obviously, with the whole age restrictions and things like that they do lose players every sort of cycle every couple of years. But they've got stability in a coach. Michele Lastella, who's won Coach of the Year award a couple of times. I think he won it back-to-back. He's won it 2 of the last 3, I think it is. So you know what you're going to get from him. So I think, again, there'll be a team that tries to play the right brand of football. He's going to have a lot of young girls as he does every year. And he just develops them, and hopefully we get to start seeing them as the next generation coming through for Adelaide United women's team, who are doing very well at the moment. So hopefully, and that's all down to the program that they've put in place.
Well, I think just before we go on to Alessio or David, I think the good thing about him, being a part of the United team as well is it's pretty, I would imagine, a simple integration between those two, is moving them back and forth, because you've seen the likes of, I think, even preseason, Lily Barber played in that preseason WNPL game. I think Hayley Wellington was involved as well. So you have that integration between those two sides, and I think it's better for everyone, really. David?
I was just going to say that in addition to what Mark mentioned there, that it's really hard to predict how these teams will do. These teams being the NTC programme and also Adelaide United's youth team in the NPL, because you just don't know where you're going to get.
No, you don't.
Some players are in for a few weeks, some players are out for a few weeks.
And it's that cycle.
Yeah. And so predicting how they'll go is very difficult. Mid-table again, I think I've picked about 10 teams to finish in mid-table.
The middle of the table can be quite light. Particularly the middle of the table can be anywhere from second to ninth, really.
Second to ninth, yeah. But yeah, look, mid-table for them, I think, and very hard to predict. But well done to the programme that's getting these young kids into playing in the national comp in the A-League, and doing well too. Not just playing for Adelaide United's men and women, but excelling.
Yeah, exactly right.
Alessio, just finally to you.
Echo the points as well. They miss obviously a couple of those outs are major players in the team, ex-captains, stuff like that, and possibly they'll get a bit of a drop off from there. But that just leads to more positions looking to be stepped up from some of the young girls.
All right, now on to relegation candidates. Of course, only one can go automatically down with one in the playoff. Who do we think? This is sort of, I guess, starting the finals predictions. The league predictions, I should say. So who's finishing bottom? We'll go through our predictions.
I've got Flinders United to finish bottom. I think they were quite lucky to stay up. What's that look for?
I don't know. I disagree, but you continue. You continue. I disagree, but you continue.
I have the liberty of freedom of speech now.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to go for Flinders United to finish bottom. I think they've lost, obviously, a key coach. I'm sure Tom Monsignor coming in will do well, but there's a few players have left, key players that have left as well. I felt Flinders were maybe a little bit lucky to stay up. I mean, I know they weren't bottom or second bottom even, but they kind of rode their luck a little bit. So I've got Flinders United. I feel terrible now. You give me that look again.
No, I have Adelaide Uni because I think they were too close for comfort last year in getting automatically relegated.
I've got Uni at 8th. I've got Uni just to scrape to stay up again.
Okay, Alessio, where do you have bottom?
Adelaide Uni as well.
Mark?
Adelaide Uni as well.
So my look wasn't too bad.
Has anyone got the white out?
Ninth place, looking at the relegation playoff, I have Flinders there.
I've got Campbelltown there because I think Campbelltown will do well enough to stay up, but I don't know that they'll make much of a dent in the teams above them. In other words, Campbelltown will finish above Flinders United. Sorry, they might finish above Adelaide Uni, but I don't think they're going to finish much above any others. So I've got Campbelltown to finish 9th to stay up.
I've got Flinders second bottom, and I think it's going to be a big playoff between them and Cove.
I've got Flinders.
Let's see if it changes for you. The more higher up the table we go.
Yeah.
8th place, I have Campbelltown there.
I've got Adelaide Uni in 8th. I've got Adelaide Uni to finish above Campbelltown.
Alessio?
I have Football SA NTC in 8th.
Okay.
I've got Metro.
Okay.
But this is where we talk about that whole middle of the table, and this is where this comes.
Is the start
this is the middle of the table for me. This is a start where it could be they could go from 8th to finals with one win, or they could drop from finals to 8th with a loss.
I think really for me, this whole 4th to 8th was probably the hardest thing to do.
It's ridiculous.
What we're up to? 7th? 7th place, I have Burkalla.
I have NTC.
I have Metro.
I have Burkalla as well.
Okay. 6th place, starting the final series, Metro.
I've got Metro United as well. Go, Paul.
I've got Bacala.
I've got Adelaide City.
Okay. 5th place, I have NTC.
I have West Torrens Burkalla in 5th.
I have Salisbury Inter in 5th.
I've got Campbelltown.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, that's my surprise
Reasoning?
package as well.
Reasoning?
I just think they've recruited well. They've got a squad with depth. I just think that there's always bound to be a surprise package. So I'm going to go with them.
Fair enough. What did we say? Did we do 5th place?
That was 5th.
4th place, I have City.
I have Salisbury Inter.
I have Campbelltown.
We've gone higher than me. I've gone Salisbury Inter as well.
Okay. 3rd place, I have Adelaide Comets.
I have Adelaide City.
I have Adelaide City.
Football SA.
Oh.
And 2nd place, I have Salisbury Inter.
I have West Adelaide.
I have Comets.
Comets.
1st place, I have West Adelaide.
First place, I have Adelaide Comets.
I have West Adelaide.
West Adelaide.
So yours was quite different to all of ours.
Yes, it was.
I think the
Well, not really. In parts, it was. I don't think my selections are too far off
no.
yours, but they certainly don't match.
My only question is West Adelaide instead of Comets. What made you decide between those two backwards and forwards?
I think it's got a bit to do with. You mean why have I picked Comets to finish above West Adelaide?
Yes.
I think it's got a bit to do with Joel Porter going over to Comets and looking at the names that are going over there with him. I'm just going to, I've just got a feeling Comets might. Having said that, earlier on I said they'll probably have a mediocre season and blitz at the finals, didn't I? So I'm contradicting myself, but I don't know, I just got a feeling about Comets this year. Finish above West Adelaide.
Fair enough.
Nicole Tilley's not listening to this, is she?
She will. What is next? Golden Boot. Who do you think will score the most goals? I had it between Cote Rojas or Georgie Nicola.
I've got Florence Russell, but I've also written a little note that says depending on service. because you can be the best striker in the league, but if the supply's not coming through midfield, then you're not going to finish top scorer. But I've got Florence Russell subject to service.
I have Emily Hazelwood.
I've gone with Russell as well. I'm on the same lines there as David. As long as she gets the service, because she can finish. As long as she gets the service.
All you have to do is look back at the season where they came up from the WSL.
Exactly.
Ridiculous
that's the
goal-scoring
thing.
season.
So I've gone with that. And just a thing on the Cote Rojas, I just don't know if they've got the team for her to score enough goals.
But does she?
That's the supply thing.
Exactly.
But with her individual quality, does she need it?
Well, depending on what position she plays, though, because they might drop her into the midfield to then push the team forward and not be that out-and-out striker that we know she can be. So it's depending on the rest of the team.
But she needs that supply. And are Flinders United going to have a midfield that can supply her? That's what I doubt.
Yeah.
That's what I doubt.
I'm worried that as well.
Interesting. Player, and for you, Mark, especially, goalkeeper of the year. My player of the year, I have Nini Yamada, now at West Adelaide.
I've still got a blank line there. I didn't fill that in.
We'll give you time to think,
Okay.
Alessio.
I have Cote Rojas from Flinders.
I have two,
Okay.
Yamada
Yep.
and Cote Rojas. And the reason I go with Cote is the fact I think she'll play more deeper in the midfield, which means she's right next to the referee, which means she'll be seen all the time. And you laugh at this, but
No,
this
that's
is
the logic,
but
man.
there is a logic to this
Yeah.
madness. And the fact that you look at the past players that have won awards. You look at them. You look at Alex Mullen. What position does he play?
Midfield.
Midfield. Quigley was a striker, but who partnered her? Who won it with her? Was
Anastasia
Willoughby,
Midfielder.
right?
But I could also go against them. I mean, like, Bucco never gets any votes because he always is next to the referee
But-
shouting at him.
I was
So-
going to say that's the thing. You've got to be the right person alongside him because, like, that's the thing. Bucco shouts, whereas you look at Alex Mullen, he won't shout at the ref, but he'll talk to the ref. You watch him, he'll talk to the ref. And I go back as far back as Catanzaro, midfielder, won it 3 times. Welsh, when he won it, I think he was actually
one in each. I think he won one at centre back, one at striker, and one in the midfield.
right. So he's a different kettle
treble.
of fish. But once you're known to the refs as well, and you're near them all the game, you've got a lot more chance because the refs will see you more. Nicky Orr, I'm going back to Para Hills, the early 2000s. Nicky Orr won it 3 times as well. I think he won it 3
Ricardo da
times.
Silva.
Ricardo da Silva. They're known players, but they're near the ref.
Yeah.
And they do something. And if you can do something in the last 10 minutes as well, that helps.
But then McCabe is probably an outlier twice.
Yeah. But not. You look at it. It's not very often. But everyone knows the McCabe's as well. Like if you've got a big name, then you're already part of the way there.
I think as well for Cote Rojas, playing in a team that might not finish as highly.
Yep.
And she's probably clearly the best player in that team.
She'll take
you
the
get
points.
votes like that.
Yep.
You could argue that's maybe what happened a little bit with Anastasia Willoughby last year.
Yep.
Couldn't you? I mean, the Flinders United weren't a great side last year. And with all due respect to Anastasia, because she is a great player, you wonder if that carried her a little bit?
Oh, it certainly plays a part, especially like when you look at some of the teams that when you go, okay, well, players keep stealing points off of each other in a good side.
Yeah.
So,
Well, even same example for that. West Adelaide is probably a team like that where you've got so many great players that they take off
points.
each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why, you see about, even same with Comets last year, I think there were about 3 or 4 from both West Adelaide and Comets, round about a similar points tally, but not one could really just take it out in total. Just final prediction, who do you think the grand final will be, and who do you think will win it out of those teams, David?
The grand final series, it just depends on how good you are for those last 4 weeks of the year, doesn't it? I've got 6 teams that are going to make it into the finals. I don't think in the final will be Metro United, Burkalla no, Centre no, City. I'll go for Adelaide City versus West Adelaide in the final. Even though I've got Comets to finish top, I reckon Adelaide City is a bit of a surprise package against West Adelaide in the final.
The original Adelaide derby for a final. Very, very cool.
I like that.
Alessio.
Give myself a tick.
I have Comets and West Adelaide for the grand final.
I have West Adelaide versus Salisbury Inter for a second time.
I'm going Comets and West Adelaide.
And who do you think will win? I say West Adelaide to get their revenge this year.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm with
West
you.
Adelaide.
Yeah, West Adelaide.
Very, very good. Anything else to add before we wrap up this season preview for the WNPL, David, Alessio, and or Mark?
Not from me, Your Honour.
Get out to some more double headers if they're all at these venues as well. And I'm sure the big thing about having these games at your actual home ground is they'll probably have a bigger fan base because if that's where your players are, that's where the players live near. then they'll get more big crowds at those venues.
I'm just trying to look at it now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams who have a counterpart men's team, and I think they have a lot of double headers, which is, I think, is again the same thing with the home ground thing. Another good thing that they can have those double headers, whether it's on a Friday night or a Saturday. It's good for everyone, I think.
Yeah, it's great, and the good thing with that is the clubs are trying to make a point of it, which then allows the men's and women's to align a little bit more, because we've seen in the past how they divide and how divisional it could be. But in one club, it looks like there's 2 clubs within one. So it's really good to see them trying to bridge that gap and hopefully make it a bit more seem as it's one club. I think that can only be a good thing. And again, you'll bring more people in, more crowds, more money over the bar, more people through the gates. It can only be a good thing.
Absolutely. Very much looking forward to it. All games will be live streamed. Very much looking forward to it. More games covered this year, I'm sure. And just a very, very interesting season to come ahead. Thank you for watching our WNPL preview for One Game at a Time. Join us soon again for our NPL men's preview here in South Australia. This has been the One Game at a Time WNPL season preview.
I got the skills to make the girls sing, and the geezers too. Yeah, we're doing this thing.